Through ESG funding in 2024, we expect to assist 100 people with homelessness prevention, which includes activities such as relocation assistance or housing stabilization services to prevent people from becoming homeless, 285 households through our rapid rehousing, which will provide housing and wraparound services for people currently in a shelter or on the street, 1,000 persons with emergency shelter. Some of our current partners are shown on the slide, and if you'll focus your attention there, you might be familiar with some of them. So now we want to hear from you all. Are there better ways to communicate with stakeholders about our programs and priorities? We would like to hear about your housing concerns and how can your neighborhood or housing situation be improved. Let's segue into the public comment section of our meeting. We would like to hear your comments on the 2024 Draft Annual Action Plan. So now I'm going to turn it over to our Deputy Director, Derek Sellers, for the public comment portion of the meeting.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much, Andrea, for taking us through the presentation. As she stated, this is our public hearing portion of the meeting. This is where we get to hear directly from you, and we want to hear from you. So shown on the screen right now are some ways to comment live. And the way here on the next slide, we'll outline some of the rules around it, and I'll tell you the process that we're going to use for today. So each speaker today is going to be provided 3 minutes to provide their testimony. Yielding to another person is not allowed. I do want to state that this is not a Q&A session. It's an opportunity for you to provide us some feedback on some of the items that you just heard, some of our programs, what you would like to see, the budgets associated with it. When I call your name, I'm going to ask you to still say your first name and last name out loud, just in case I get it wrong, but that we have that on the record, because summaries of these responses we're going to include in our final action plan that we submit to HUD. And as stated, this testimony is recorded and transcribed, kind of as you see down there in the bottom corner. So what will happen is I'm going to ask you, if you would like to make a public comment today, to use the raise your hand feature here in Teams. If you look at the top ribbon, you'll see a hand that kind of looks like this and says raise underneath it. So if you'll hit that, if you'd like to make a public comment, and then I'll call your name, and at that point in time is when you state your name and provide your comment. There will be some prompts on the screen to kind of let you know where you are in that 3-minute time period. Another way to indicate that you would like to make a public comment is to drop your name into the chat. And so if you'll do that, after I do the hand raises, I'll go do the people that put their names in the chat so that we can follow it that way. So first up, we're going to start with those that have a raised hand. So give me just a second. I see one right now. Last name is Davis.
Hi. I wanted to ask specifically about any type of programs that you all maybe have, or funds that can be delegated specifically for people with special needs and disabilities, or parents of children with special needs and disabilities in the home buying process. I do have a special needs son, and just due to some of the challenges and intricacies of, staying employed when you have a special needs child, needing emergency assistance sometimes when you have to take off from work, to tend to their needs, things like that, it can be really, challenging to navigate sometimes. I had a situation where I exhausted $20,000 in savings because I had to stay home and, take care of my special needs child. And so those type of things have put me tremendously behind in the home buying process. And then additionally, I know we do have certain, they do have certain programs, and I can't recall the exact name of one that's specifically designated for home buying assistance for parents of children with special needs. But when we talk about the income cap, sometimes, when it comes to certain assistance, you're darned if you do and you're darned if you don't, because if you, go over that income cap, though you might be, say, $10,000 of the income cap, the amount of money that you exhaust in supporting a special needs child, especially considering that a lot of the special out. So just kind of wondering if there can be, or if any of the programs either currently or will be accommodating or assisting, particularly, those special needs populations.
Okay. Thank you for your comment. As I mentioned, this isn't a Q&A session, but maybe we can connect you up with somebody here in the department that might be able to provide you some more information, especially around our home buying programs. Next up, I see Deborah Walker. If you'd like to
Hello,
unmute.
everyone. How are you?
Fantastic. Thanks, Deborah. Start
Good.
your comment.
Yes, I want about the parks and everything. I thought we supposed to go through the park department for that, but if we wanted a park inside of Sunnyside to have a what you call it, splash park, a splash pad, how do we go by that?
So just once again, not a Q&A session, but we provide funding to the parks departments that any requests like that should be directed in their direction, but we can pass along that question to them and see if they can provide some feedback to you.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. Anyone else? You'd like to raise your hand? Kevin, would you like to go next?
Yes, thank you. Just had a quick question. I noticed that y'all would be releasing an RFP for the home program. Was wondering if there was a date associated with that. I just didn't see it in the draft plan.
It's in the very near term, so to be on the lookout at it. And then just a comment more broadly, we're going to provide some information. We have an email list associated with our department to let you know all the great things we're doing. And one of the things that's included on that list is when we release notices of funding availability across all of our programs. And so for this one specifically, for multifamily, you'll be informed when it's open, but it's coming quickly. Looks like Christine, maybe Holland. Yep, Christine Holland.
Hi, there were 2 RFPs last year, one for CDBG DR winter storm and another for the master contractor agreement. Can you provide any timing as to when those will be awarded, please?
Still waiting on our DR 21 funds to arrive. Been in contact with HUD and we're expecting that to come quickly. On the master contractor, somebody from, I presume, the single family world would have to get with you around the timing of those types of the release of or selection of contractors associated with it.
Thank you. I will reach out to them. Thanks, Derek.
Bernadette Bullock.
Really glad to hear that there's I work with the diversion program, which is under the Homeless Coalition. And I was very, very glad to hear there's going to be some funding specifically to address and reduce homelessness under the Public Services Grant, as well as the ESG grant. But I must say that with the great need that we're seeing, this will make a difference, but it's just an overwhelming homeless population in the Houston area, and we really have to do more.
Thank you, Bernadette. Bettina Allen.
Yes, good evening. Hey, I was wanting to know, do y'all, when someone apply for the program, it takes a long time for them to get approved? And just wanted to know why it's taking so long for them to get approved through the program. And then when they try to reach out, it takes forever for them to get back with them. And then my second question is, what lenders are y'all using to help with these programs? Because all lenders don't work with the program.
I presume you're talking about our down payment assistance program.
Right.
Let's see, I may have staff on here. Maybe they can connect up with you separately to answer both of those questions for you. I was going to see if we have that. Let's see if we can get somebody to get back with you on that, on both of those items. Give you a status update and talk to you about lenders. It looks like in the chat, a couple of names that came through, and I'm going to get this wrong, but I'll go ahead and give it a try. Eob Besa, if you'd like to unmute yourself and provided public comment. Let's try Dylan Davis. Dylan, would you like to make a public comment? Myra Von Temps.
Sorry, Derek, I was just putting it for attendance. I didn't mean to speak.
Oh, well, okay. Sounds
But
good.
hi, it's nice to see you.
Nice to hear from you, Myra. Glad you're here. Looks like Marla Lewis have the raised hand.
Okay,
Marla?
thank you. Yes, thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Marla Lewis. I'm the board chair of the Houston Black Real Estate Association. My concern is the allocation for down payment assistance with as far as home ownership. It just seems that, and I'm trying to take a look at the numbers because I was taking notes as she was presenting, but I think it was like 2 million. That's not nearly enough. We are struggling with affordable housing being an issue. We are really struggling to help people that are deserving of and that work every day and who deserve to become homeowners, but with different things that are surrounding different barriers that surrounds that. The allocation just does not seem um, it just doesn't seem as a priority.
Thank you for the feedback, Marla. Truly
Mhm.
appreciate it. And just one quick note, we have funding available right now that can be used. So I do appreciate the feedback. All right. Anyone else, if you'd like to raise your hand and provide a public comment today, we appreciate it. Looks like we had one more in the chat here. I'm not sure if it's a comment or just stating presence, but Corey Small.
Yes, I had a quick question about the not really the allocation of funds, but your overlays on your down payment assistance programs for your for home buyers. I'm a mortgage broker and I have a $10,000 grant. And I was trying to look into using it in conjunction with the program that you have. But my $10,000 grant comes with no income limitation. You could be a millionaire and still get it. But if I was trying to use one of your programs in conjunction, the particular client I'm closing on right now, they make too much money. So I'm just curious, is there ever going to be like a revamping of those income limitation overlays, or that's pretty much going to adhere to like area median income limitations?
These are federal funds, and the federal regulations require us to serve people at 80% AMI and below these funds. So for this specific money that we're talking about today, it's set. We can't deviate from it.
Thank you.
Althea?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I just like to say I'm a realtor. I've been a realtor in the Houston area for 39 years. And I'm coming across a lot of the low to moderate income people who are being cast out by the high rentals. So this program and other programs are very good for them. But I was just wondering if you have something in place, or maybe should have something in place where we can meet as realtors to get this process going faster, because we do buyers, seminars, things like that. People come out, but it would just be good to have something like that. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate the feedback. We'll make sure to pass that along to our team and see if we can get something connected up. Dr. Patricia White-Spikes.
Hi, great presentation. I've gotten a lot of information from this. I'm president of Civic Club for 3 neighborhoods and vice president of a super neighborhood. I've picked up a lot of information. One of the things I want to do is, and I think I put it in the chat, I was asking, can we get this presentation to share with our community? Because a lot of the information you're giving, most of our people don't know anything about.
Absolutely. This will be posted on our website right after this. I don't know that I say right after this, but I don't want to put the pressure on the team, but it will be posted on our website and available for everyone to view.
Yeah, because we need to be able to share this with the community. So thank you.
Absolutely. And as I said earlier, we're going to provide some contact info. Please get on our email list, let us know, and feel free to reach out to us to see how we can partner
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else that would like to make a public comment this afternoon? Well, as I said earlier, I truly appreciate everybody joining us this afternoon, taking part in this process. It's very important. At this point in time, we'll turn it back over to Andrea and lead us through the remainder of this presentation.
Thank you so much, Director Sellers. So let's get back into the presentation. I do want to reiterate what Deputy Director Sellers said, that the presentation will be available approximately 48 hours from today. So you can view that online with tons of other resources and information that you can go back into your community and share. The draft 2024 annual action plan has awesome information. It's available to view online at www.houstontx.gov/housing. Please remember, you have until April the 11th to make comments and to make sure that they get in for our final 2024 annual action plan. That's another awesome place where you can make comments on the work that we are doing. Other ways to comment, you can email hcdplanning@houstontx.gov. You can mail your comment to HCD's Planning and Grant Reporting at 2100 Travis Street. That's the 9th floor, Houston, Texas, 77002, or by voicemail at 832-394-5400. This information is available on the main page of the housing website. Okay. So now we're going to move into our discussion groups. Okay. Each group, we're going to break out into smaller groups, excuse me, and each group will have a discussion facilitated by an HCD staff member. We will have about 20 minutes for this exercise. If you refer your attention to the screen and just hold tight for about 3 seconds, we're going to move you all into groups. Just be a little bit patient with us. We're going to be moving you guys into groups to have a small group discussion. So just prepare to be moved into your groups and kind of refer your attention to the screen. You'll see the change. We are back on in the main room. Everyone should have been moved back into the main room. And we're going to continue with our meeting. Here's what we want to know. We're going to go to each group. We would like to hear from you. What were your top housing concerns? What has changed in your neighborhood in the last 5 years? What has changed in your housing situation in the last 5 years? Okay, we're going to go around and we will start with Kim's group. So if you will just give us a summary of what you guys discussed and a summary of those questions, we would appreciate it if you share it with the group.
Kim, I'll do it if nobody else will.
Okay, I'm sorry. Look, I'm sorry. I didn't know that Kim was not the representative to give that information out. If someone from Kim's group.
I'll do it.
Okay,
We
no
talked
worries.
about it was not. We talked about top housing concerns in Houston was not enough low-income housing. We talked about moving halfway houses, how they're moving into our neighborhoods. We talked about it was too many duplexes in our neighborhoods, which was against some of our deed restrictions. We talked about not having enough affordable housing and how the neighborhood safety and crime had become an issue. And that in a lot of our areas, poor living conditions were a result of what's happening in our neighborhoods changing. We talked about no zoning laws that don't protect our neighborhoods. We talked about a lack of funding for support for people who are trying to get housing in neighborhoods, a lack of services for many of our low-income areas, poor housing conditions in affordable housing units. The units are not being kept up. We talk about a lack of affordable housing on our bus lines because a lot of the people who live in affordable housing need bus lines. We talked about a lack of education of services because a lot of our constituents don't know what's available. And we talked about a lack of assistance with purchasing a home. People don't really know how to go about it and they need help with that. And we talked about a lack of funding for young families trying to start homes, get homes.
Hey, that's awesome feedback.
Yeah, we talked a lot.
Okay.
We talked about how neighborhood has changed. Everybody is looking at how we've got higher taxes I really should have my glasses on because I'm blind as a bat. We talked about how the neighborhood has changed, how taxes are higher. We're seeing more renters coming in our areas because a lot of the owners are out of state. There's too much density that's causing flooding and infrastructure issues in our areas. Everybody's building and it's taking away all the land, so we're seeing more flooding. The water pressure is decreasing in a lot of areas because of this, and a lot of our areas have old infrastructure. We talked about how warehouses are taking over in some of our areas. I know Southeast, where I am, warehouses are taking over. The neighborhood has changed because a lot of the housing is not affordable for everybody. Plus, and they're having to move a lot of people in. There are no zoning laws, and developers are buying up our properties and turning them into duplexes. They're turning them into duplexes and halfway houses. There's funding for supportive services to tie with housing, but a lot of people don't know how to access it. We don't have enough sidewalks, we're saying, in our areas. We're seeing where some are being built, but it's not enough. The housing conditions for a lot of people in these neighborhoods is poor. They're building some housing, but it's not adequate. We are seeing more owners, and a lot of the owners, we're seeing fewer owners and more renters because a lot of the owners are out of state. The biggest concern, number one, in our area was gentrification, because they are moving in and taking over because second and third generations are selling everything out to other people. And they're selling out of state and renting out the properties. We saw that complexes are not being restored as low income, and they're displacing the people who were there throughout the city. They're displacing these people, and they're not being restored as low income single family homes. And we're seeing the displacement of multi-generational households. And there's a decreased enrollment because of this in our public schools in all these neighborhoods. And when you lose the schools, you lose the communities, because that's where families are. And we're seeing a decrease in unsheltered homelessness. People are all over the streets because they don't have anywhere to live. So they're homeless. And how has it changed? We've seen taxes increasing because of all of the development. Insurance is higher. Homeowners, flood insurance, everything is higher. Rent is ridiculous. It's cheaper to buy a house than rent a house. Senior affordable housing has decreased, and we don't have enough housing for seniors. Incomes, they said, decreased. It was really supposed to decrease the income because people's incomes are not going up, but the amount that we're having to pay for everything is increasing. And our seniors are having to decide between their medications and food. They can't afford both. So a lot of times they go without food because they have to have medication. A lot of seniors are having to live together due to the diminishing allocations. And we're finding that a lot of the places they're in, they're being abused. Nobody's looking after seniors to see if they're okay. Domestic violence after COVID increased. And one of the things we're seeing with a lot of our seniors, they're afraid to tell what's happening to them until they show up at the county or somewhere because they've been abused. We're seeing more stray animals walking around because people can't afford to feed themselves and feed the animals, and they're turning them loose on the streets. I was a part of a thing last year where 3 pit bulls mauled a 10-year-old on my porch. There's a food desert out there because people can't afford adequate feeding and food to keep them healthy. So there's a food swamp. There's not enough quality, healthy food for people. And there's increased card debt because everybody is trying to pay for everything with credit cards because they can't afford to pay out of pocket. So, and now we're trying to figure out how to access senior affordable housing, because a lot of the seniors need housing, but they are not able to afford the housing. And also there's a waiting list, and there's also a lot of credit card debt because people are trying to pay for everything with credit cards.
Okay. Thank you to Kim's group. You guys are a hard act to follow. A lot of good information there. Thank you for volunteering for Kim's group. We're going to move on to Carrie's group. We want to make sure we set the intention. We want you to summarize your conversation. Give a summary of those top three questions that were mentioned, And if we could get or elect a representative from Carrie's group to summarize you guys' conversation.
Yeah, I don't think we had anyone, but I want to make sure that they got an opportunity to volunteer if they would like.
That's right.
Anybody?
You are going to be the trusted person today.
All
You
right,
will do a
no
wonderful
problem.
job. Okay.
No problem. So let me share my screen here, give a quick overview of kind of what we discussed. Had a great discussion. We had people from all over the Houston area, Cypress, Sunnyside, Neartown, Third Ward, a couple other neighborhoods. And so for the first question, their top 3 housing concerns, affordability was the top one. We had a couple people asking about programs for barriers to housing, people with previous evictions, people with criminal records, giving them a second chance to find housing. Sustainability, illegal squatting came up as well, and in the subsequent questions. Maintenance facilities, roads, infrastructure, and like I said, affordability came up multiple times. Increased HCAD valuations, increased property taxes. And then one other thing I want to briefly mention is that they're seeing more, and this is something that I think was discussed in the previous group, is the type of people who own homes that are renting them out are changing. And so they're seeing less
Correct.
individuals renting from less individuals and looking at renting from more corporate entities. So second question, how has your neighborhood changed? This is where, you know, that those vacant homes with illegal squatting going on came up quite a few times. Houses sitting vacant and falling into disrepair, things of that nature. Also got some input regarding there not being enough public transportation, not being enough ways to get over train tracks, not enough overpasses for emergency vehicles and emergency situations. Land use, houses being built next to gas stations and things of that nature, along with just in general, their neighborhoods are seeing more construction of homes that have a high dollar value, going into gentrification, and an increase in population as well. So,
Okay. Awesome job, Carrie.
yeah. And so our third and last question, how has your housing situation changed? Again, it's that affordability. It's those rental rates increasing, affordability decreasing, also the cost per square foot increasing. So smaller apartments and homes going at a higher price or a higher rent. Higher construction costs and less land available was also some input that I got. So.
Okay, awesome job to Carrie's group. It was really detailed. Learned a
you.
lot from you guys. You have a broad scope of what's going on in your neighborhood. I love to hear that we have people from all over the Houston area checking in. So we're going to move to Miss Yolanda's group.
Thank you. Well, I could not find that little detail to put my information online, so I think we put it in the chat. But for the
No
most part,
worries.
we had people from all over Houston. A lot of them were realtors. They were from Sunnyside, Fifth Ward, the North Side, Orem, Beach, Alameda area. And what we talked about in the first question was their top concerns, and they're all very much concerned about affordability of homes, not having access to homes. One of the things that one young lady shared with me was that if your salary is a little bit higher than the medium salary, you're not getting that additional discount to purchase the home because you're overpriced, you're priced out. So if you're having to buy that home, you're either at the $400 homes or you're at the less expensive homes, but there's no middle space for that person that is making a little bit more money to get assistance. The other thing that we talked about was the area being overdeveloped. Having things being put in the neighborhood that is not required. For instance, someone is over off of Alameda and Orem, and they were just saying there's no green space because they're putting up these houses back to back, and there's no neighborhood continuity. There's just a bunch of homes going up. And there's a lot of that throughout the city of Houston. Taxes are going up. There's no master communities. And if anyone has anything that they would like to share, this is the time you can drop in. I think that's about all that I wanted to share with you. It was all about affordability, income that was not being assessed, and then the overdevelopment. But we did talk about all four things, and those were the major things that we had the most concerns about.
Okay.
And so we're
Oh,
going to ditto what Kim said, because pretty much
right.
that's it for everyone, you know?
Right, right. I'm hearing a lot of the same things, which is good to know
Mhm.
what the vast majority is thinking. So thank you, Miss Yolanda. We appreciate you and your group as well.
You're welcome.
Okay, we're going to segue into the last group. I served in the last group as a note taker, and Sharonda Liddell assisted me in facilitating that group. So I will start off by saying some of the things I heard, and I'm going to ask that Sharonda help me out if I miss anything. I heard the number one priority being seniors. We want to make sure that we have programs and funds set aside to assist those seniors that are also being priced out of their homes, that are also being affected by gentrification, that are also being affected by some of them having actual damage to their homes from Harvey. They still have blue tarp on their houses. And I think that one of the things that would probably assist them with that is just knowing what services and what's out there and connecting them. Also, affordability was big. I heard something about roads and infrastructure. And Sharonda, did I miss anything? I'm assuming Sharonda's probably saying you didn't miss anything.
No, I'm sorry.
Okay,
Trying to get
okay,
off mute.
okay.
No, I think you covered
No
it
worries.
all. Also, some, interest, high interest rates related to those things as well, and just resources, available resources. We did find some good information that was provided by someone in the chat about privately funded application through the East End to kind of help with some rehabilitation of homes, things. So a lot of great conversations happened in the group, but I think you covered everything. And like Kim, I think Kim hit it for everybody.
Right, right. Okay, well, thank you, Sharonda, and our group. I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you to everyone who participated. What you have discussed will be included in the 2024 Annual Action Plan. You have until April the 11th, I'll reiterate that, to comment on that. And we want to hear these same concerns. If you think of anything in the interim before April 11th and you're like, hey, I want to be a part of this process, please send in your concerns to the methods listed on the slide. I hope this activity allows foresight into the complexity of meeting Houston's housing concerns and needs. Okay. Just a few brief announcements. This is will probably be very beneficial to you guys. Don't forget we have our virtual community hours every Wednesday from 1 to 4 p.m. You can call in and be connected to our program representatives, and they will be able to answer questions and provide assistance. If you have a friend or family member who missed the presentation, meeting materials will be posted online. And again, we are accepting public comments through April the 11th on the draft 2024 annual action plan.
Can I throw in something there, if you don't mind? This is, April is Fair Housing Month. If anyone has any need for information about fair housing, I would love to come out to your organizations and talk to your constituents about what fair housing is about. And I am available, so please give me a call.
Good information, yes. Okay. So we want you guys to keep in touch with us. We don't want this to be the last time that we hear from you. We want to stay in touch with you. So we have the methods listed on the slide. Please visit www.houstontx.gov/housing and scroll down to the bottom of the page to get our information, like our address, our phone number, information about our department, how to connect with us through social media, how to sign up for emails. Please follow us on all social media, sign up for our mailing list to keep updated on our programs, projects, and notices of funding availability or NOFAs. If you're interested in learning more, please visit our website as well as our other resources, and we will have staff members get back to you and make sure that they're able to provide the information that you need. So if no one else from any group, if I didn't miss anything, we're going to turn it back over to Director Nichols for a few final remarks. Director Nichols?
Hear me okay?
Okay, we can hear you. You're on.
I really liked the breakout meetings and so appreciate listening in to very smart comments and thoughtful comments. I hope everybody enjoyed the meeting. Our count for this meeting was 167 people, which is quite impressive. I want to tell you that were some folks who were vital to our work, who were listening in. I may miss somebody and I apologize. We had staff from Council Member Ramirez and Plumbers in Alcorn's office. We had staff from the Community Land Trust, CLT, and from LISC. We had staff from Commissioner Garcia's office and State Representative Morales Shaw's office. We had partners listening in from the Food Bank and the Women's Center, and we very much appreciate, and I forgot to mention in the first part, our partners at Housing and Urban Development. They are, without them, much of this work couldn't be done. So again, thanks so much for being here. Thank you for your participation. This feedback is vital to our draft 2024 action plan. And we will continue to accept comments until April 11th. So if you have extra comments, please weigh in. Before we go, I want to thank our staff who coordinate this meeting and our service providers for providing captions and great translation services. But more importantly, I want to thank the 167 people who joined us today for being a part of this important meeting. And we look forward to continuing to serve the citizens of Houston and truly to meet our aspirations of having the most affordable housing and the most pro-housing city of any place in the country. Thanks so much.
Thank you, and this concludes our meeting.